Hello everybody and welcome back to the show. Today we are going to do a deeper talk episode. Well, what's that, you may ask? Before I explain what that is, I'd like to welcome you back. And it is September 13th, 2021. This is episode number 192 of the All Around Growth Podcast, a show that is intended to provide insight and tools to build the life and homestead of our dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Yes, we are going to do a deeper talk episode because I'm short on time. I've got the deck right here. And I think this is something of value whether you're short on time or not. Because developing strong friendships or relationships requires vulnerability. But sometimes it's hard to know how to share the deep parts of ourselves. It's so easy to develop surface level relationships with surface level conversations, but those kinds of relationships can feel somewhat empty. This deck, which I'm reading from right now, this Icebreaker Deeper Talk deck, is a tool for diving deep into meaningful conversations. And what this is a deck of cards in a nice little box. And there are 150 cards with questions or prompts, if you will, to encourage dialogue over 6 categories. And it's been a while since we've done a deeper talk episode, but the way that this works, for those of you who may not have heard one previously, is I pull a card from random, and that is fodder for conversation during the commute of the morning. So at random here, I'll just select. I don't want to do an exposed category. That was what I originally. So we've got exposed. We have self-awareness, dreams, beliefs, life lessons, courage. Self-awareness. I'll select that at random. That's a little less intimidating and a little less to chew off on a Monday morning than that of the exposed category. This one's going to be interesting. Describe your relationship with your father in one sentence. As I wait for a few remaining cars to pass before I pull out the driveway, I'm thinking about how I would describe the relationship with my father in one sentence. The relationship I have with my father that is a complicated question to answer. My father and I, and my mother as well, we live together here at the York Meadow Farm and Homestead. We have our own individual spaces. We're not really on top of each other, and that's nice. But we live together. We share a home. We share a life. The reason I came back here and moved back here on several occasions actually was because of my parents, because of the future that they had in store. or the future that they talked about and planned with this land. And that future's changed several times. That plan has changed several times. There hasn't actually been a real plan, so to speak, a legitimate plan. At least one that's been communicated to me. And that's some of the struggle that my parents and I have is the communication element. And it's really some of the struggle that I think we have and is at the root of most of our struggles in life with people is the inherent challenges that come with communication and the way in which we handle it when there's something, well, the way in which we handle the challenges. Where am I going with this, and how does this relate to the question? Which again is, or again, less a question, more a prompt. Describe your relationship with your father in one sentence. I pause because I think back to childhood. I think back to my parents and how with each of us, my brother, my sister, and myself, my parents were always present. Were always giving. We're always encouraging us to learn, to follow our passions. To do what we love. And to do it well. And that's one thing that my father always told me, always taught me. One thing that's stuck with me to this day. And I'm quite certain I've mentioned it before on the show, and I'm quite certain that I'll mention it again as time goes on. As I grew older and approached adulthood and found myself in a position where I had to begin earning some money on my own, making a living. And especially during the college years when I found myself struggling with what it is that I wanted to do and what I perceived the societal norms to be dictating to me, at least what I thought I should be doing. And what it was that he said, time and again, was do what you love, do it well, and the money will come. Do what you love and do it well, and the money will come. And I think what he meant by that was, as long as we follow our passions and we do the things that make us happy, the things that we love, with unbridled joy, we will always find a place for someone who wants to provide us with something in return for that which we provide them. Whether that's money directly or a paycheck or some other terms of a barter agreement. But I think by following our passion, by doing what we love, and by doing it well, not just doing it, but by doing it well, the money will come. We still talk about that sometimes, not as often as we used to. But I still think about it a lot. I still think about it far more often than we talk about it, because much like the college years again, I find myself wondering sometimes what it is that I'm doing, why, what it is that I ought to be doing. Because when I think about the ought, I know the why. Future, the family, the heritage, tradition. Things that we, I don't even want to say take for granted, but things that just don't seem to be as much of a part of our lives as maybe they once were. And the question again, from the Best Self Deeper Talk deck, or the prompt rather, for us today is to describe your relationship with your father in one sentence. If I had to describe my relationship with my father in one sentence after approximately 12 minutes of rambling, I would say something to the effect of the relationship with my father is one of the relationships in my life that I take the most pride in. There's something to be said about pride, and I'm not even going to get into that right now, but I do take pride in the relationship that I have with my father. I'm proud of the way in which I was raised. I'm proud of the way in which he was raised, and I'm proud in the way in which I'm living my life now. My friends, that's about it for today's show. I felt a little bit discombobulated, and it may have come across in the show this morning because I woke up later than I anticipated, but that's what happens in the fall when daylight comes later and you don't set an alarm. But part of not setting an alarm for me is having an increased focus on health and wellness, and making sure that I get the sleep that I need, waking when I need to instead of when I, quote, should. So, anyways, there are links, as always, or there will be in the show notes, to the Best Self Deeper Talk deck. There are also links to the All Around Growth chat group on Telegram and the broadcast channel as well. There's a link for Apple Podcast users to leave a rating and review. It's a 1-minute video on how to do so, as Apple has changed things up over the years, and it is increasingly more difficult to leave ratings and reviews. But ratings and reviews certainly help with the algorithms and help expose new audience members to the show. So if you like what you hear, please do that, or simply spread the word on social media from your favorite episode, one that is relevant to you and your life, and one that you think may be relevant to the lives of those you love, or at least care about. I hope you have a great week, everybody. And if you're listening to this in a down moment, or if you're listening to this while you're working, when you have a down moment, I'd encourage you to think about some things like this, questions like that. Because it's important to slow down. Full stop. It's important to slow down. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you